and we bring in National Scouting Coordinator Vinnie Cervino. Vinnie, thanks for spending time with us. All eyes on the class of 2023, the best juniors in the country. First off, happy holidays, man. Thanks for spending time with us.
Glad to see you, Darren. Absolutely love being on.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Let's run up the list where we talk about holidays. We know in the Midwest it's getting cold. Maxwell Clark is having to go indoors, but this is a guy that's first on your list. He's one of the best players in the country, any age group. He's Indiana-based. Indiana Bulls, his travel team. Tell us about Maxwell Clark.
There's nothing really that Maxwell Clark can't do. He's a freak athlete on the field, obviously. He plays center field. He runs. He has power. He can hit. And kind of the overall twitch, athleticism, everything there is a really desirable package when you're talking about a guy who could be potentially the best player in the class.
Thomas White, a talented left-handed pitcher from the Northeast. We've seen him a couple of years ago at the 14U Select Festival. I personally saw him, but you've seen him a lot since. This gifted lefty, how is he evolving?
Yeah, I mean, he just is kind of a guy that checks every box when you're talking about a prep arm, especially a prep lefty. He's big, he's got size, it's really easy delivery. It's one of the easiest 95-mile-an-hour fastballs you're ever going to see. And everything about it is effortless, smooth, it's buttery clean. And he's taken a lot of strides from when he was 14 to where he is now. Obviously, the feel's gotten a little bit better, but like there's makings of a breaking ball, makings of a changeup. Everything's kind of in that solid developmental trajectory that you really look for.
All right, let's move back to the outfield. Walker Jenkins, North Carolina native.
Jenkins had a terrific underclass. You're talking about a guy who has potentially some of the best plate discipline and zone awareness out of anybody in the class. He makes very solid swing decisions. He's very balanced, very patient. And then when he does swing, he explodes on the ball. There's good power to the pull side now. The hitability is obviously great as well. And he's a guy that's really stood out over the course of multiple fall tournaments.
Vinny, allow me to go out west. You know I'll do that when given the chance. UCLA commit Dean West. Great name, by the way. Outfielder. Dean is another one that was an early commit. UCLA thinks a lot of him. Tell us about Dean.
Yeah, Dean's explosive. It's true top of the order tools. He can run. He can really defend in center field. He can hit and he can show some power, but he uses the whole field really, really well. He's very adept at manipulating and controlling the barrel. And these are all skills that play at the top of the lineup because he can find a myriad of ways to not only get on base, but cause havoc when he's on the bases.
Real quickly, before I ask you about what to look for in 2022, when you look at this junior class, are you finding that most of the elite players, and let's say top 250 players, by this point, if they made their college decision, by this point, are they verbally committed to the program?
I mean, yes and no, right? A lot of guys are committing younger and younger these days, which is it's definitely a trend. But there's still a lot of guys. This is something I talk about all the time. A lot of guys don't make that jump or that necessarily that development from good to elite prospect until they get to their junior year of high school. Sometimes there's a lot of guys that make that jump late, and so by not committing, that doesn't make them foolish or make schools whatever. It's just by making that jump later in their high school careers, they're just on a different timeline than some other kids.
Yeah, I know you've been sharing that information, some cool stuff that you've been sharing. Don't have to commit. If you're not ready, find the right fit for you. Now, in 2022, there's one athlete that you kind of have a keep an eye on. He could bounce in 2022. We asked you, who is it?
That'd be Justin Leguernic, left-handed pitcher from New York. He's a guy I've been high on all fall. Our scouting staff's probably gotten a little annoyed at me at this point for continuing to bang the drum, but from underclass to Jupiter, obviously, it really kind of like we talked about with Thomas White, checks a ton of boxes. He'll sit like 87 and 90 right now, but it's really clean from the left side. There's a feel for a very good slider in the low 80s. He's a guy who I've talked about, and he reminds me a little bit of former PG All-American Dax Fulton in that he's big, he's got size, he can spin it. There's a lot to like moving forward.
Thank you, Vinny. We appreciate your time.
Glad to be on, Darren.